Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and today we're talking about limited time events, something that the Division franchise has never really dabbled with, at least, depending on your definition. You could argue that every apparel event we get is a limited time event, and that's true, and Division has done its fair share of cosmetic exclusivity and whatnot, and limited rare item availability, etc., but what I'm really talking about is akin to its relatives in the genre. Destiny has what seems like an event for every holiday and then some, which brings actual unique new game content to play and engage with. World of Warcraft does stuff like pre-patch events, holiday stuff, and rotating content like the Dark Moon Fair. Division has never really done anything quite like those, at least not yet. And with the coming expansion of the Division universe, it's only a matter of time until we see this franchise begin to dabble with this brand new form of content. And we may have already gotten a clue as to what the first ones may be, so this should be pretty fun to discuss. Let's get right into it. I don't think I can start this discussion without first mentioning the time that we almost did receive a limited time event within the Division franchise, that of course being the famous Codename Nightmare event. For anybody who doesn't know, the quick context was that during Ubisoft Forward back in 2020, Division had its own segment where Yannick was running through what to expect in the rest of Year 2, including revealing the mana targets for Seasons 3 and 4, spotlighting the summit, but then at the very end, they tagged on this short teaser which showed Kenley College in a black and white filter amidst a thunderstorm and flashed the text onto screen saying Codename Nightmare limited time event coming this winter, which got a lot of people, myself included, super hyped. And at the time, of course, we didn't know this was going to be a Resident Evil crossover, which led to a whole lot of speculation about what it could be. A lot of people assumed it was going to be Hunter related. I put out a theory about how it might be referring to a nightmare scenario, tying it into the leaked Season 4 ending. Ultimately, nobody really guessed correctly, but in the end, it didn't really matter because we learned a few months later that the event had been canceled, at least the content portion of it. They still ran the associated apparel event, which, like I said, was the crossover with Resident Evil, but that's all there was to it. To this day, we don't know the full extent of what the limited time content they had planned for Kenley was going to be, but suffice to say, it would have been really cool to see. And it's worth mentioning, just because I see the idea thrown around a lot that the devs should bring Codename Nightmare back, they can't do that. From everything we're aware of, the content that was going to be at Kenley College was also going to be tied into the Resident Evil event. And so unless Ubisoft and Capcom, I think it is, were to strike up some sort of new deal, Massive can't just release Resident Evil content without the rights to do so. And of course, I'm not privy to all the details. I could have something wrong there, but my general understanding is that that's not legally possible, and that's why we'll never see a return. They missed their window of opportunity. So, in the over 6 years that the Division has been around, that was really the one and only time that we know the devs were planning some actual limited time content in an event. And again, depending on how you define it, you could say apparel events are limited time events, stuff like our little holiday events where the Loot Goblin drops some stuff, double XP weekends, the shields back in Division 1, sort of, even though they're still active today. But again, I'm talking about actual limited time events, content, things like that, whether it's holiday themed or related or based on something else entirely. We've never seen that sort of thing within the Division franchise. Well, that could be changing. There's a larger narrative that I want to follow here, but first I wanted to show you all a tweet that sparked this idea for me in the first place. It comes from our own Palle Hofstein, who is of course the art producer on the game. Side note, he was also recently on Massive's podcast, where it's hosted by Petter from back in the day. They've also had people like Yannick and Thylander on there. It's a great show. You learn some great personal and professional information. I'll leave a link to that in the description if you're interested. It's definitely good stuff. But Palle responded to a tweet recently promising some pretty cool stuff coming our way in the future. In response to someone saying, just a quick question, are we going to get any cross-promotional apparel from Heartland in Div 2, like a hat or something? And Palle responded by saying nothing is firm, but we're talking about a bunch of different ways to collaborate. Now on its own, that is very exciting to hear. I think many of us assumed that there would be some sort of cross-promotional stuff between all of the new games eventually, but to hear it from the devs themselves is really sweet. Obviously, the details here are sparse, but I think it opens the door to a lot of possibilities. I mean, as Palle says, they're talking about a bunch of different ways to collaborate. Some ideas that came to my mind at varying degrees of scale. They could do a simple login reward. Log into Division 2, get a Heartland themed reward, log into Heartland once it releases, and get a Division 2 themed reward. They could then go up to the next level and do an entire Heartland themed apparel event in Division 2, or to go all out, and this is more along the lines of what I would define as a true limited time event, have a limited time exclusive mission in Division 2, started off on the outskirts of DC, and suddenly we get a distress call from Silver Creek, and maybe this mission does a few time skips, but you get to explore a few new areas and go through the journey of exiting the DC surrounding area, seeing some new sites, exploring a few new areas, like I was saying, and if they make it replayable, they could add in a few secrets here and there, allow you to gain different cosmetics, a hat, a patch, backpack trophy, mask, etc., and then complete completing it grants you a commendation along with the new lore of the prologue of the Heartland journey. Again, that's a wild idea. Not even necessarily saying that's even feasible with the team's current size and resources, but in essence, that's the type of thing I think we would have seen at Kenley College had Codename Nightmare actually happen. And that's the type of thing I would love to see this franchise lean more into in the future. Because as mundane as it might seem, oh, it's just, content but available for a short time, that stuff can be fun. It gives the community urgency, a reason to log back into the game within a certain window of time. And if the content is fun, that's a memory and event you're going to remember a long, long time after it's gone. So whatever Heartland cross promotion they come up with, I'm sure it'll be fun. Again, not necessarily expecting a whole prologue mission or anything like that, but that brings me to the overall narrative that I was speaking on earlier in regards to this topic. And that's that I think with the introduction of these new spin-offs, obviously Heartland and Resurgence, I think it's only a matter of time until we start to see limited time content and events entering this universe. If you've played free-to-play games before, or you've played mobile games before, what's something they like to do a lot? Constantly refresh the experience. I'm sure your favorite mobile game has gotten a lot of loading screen redesigns over the years, a Halloween-themed one, a winter one, a summer one. I'm not necessarily saying Resurgence is going to go that crazy with it, but I have very little doubt that it or Heartland or both will lean much more into the seasonal holiday themes than Division 1 or 2 ever have. Both games are clearly going to focus more on monetization than Division ever has before, with both of them being free to play. Obviously, we don't yet have any details on that. Hopefully, it's kept cosmetic only, and I have pretty good faith it will be, but I am fully expecting that one or both of these games will lean into the idea of having themed or separate seasonal battle passes, holiday-themed items in the shop, and if we're lucky, actual limited time content. Whether it just be small new details out in the open world or some limited time game mode, something like that, I mean, the possibilities are pretty vast. But again, given how much the likes of Destiny and World of Warcraft, and I'm sure many others, take advantage of this model of content, I think the Division teams across the universe would be pretty silly to not at least try their own spin on it as well. Because like I said, it's never really been done in our franchise before, so that leaves the door open for a lot of excitement if it's done well, or not as much excitement if it's done poorly. Limited time, quote unquote, doesn't guarantee quality, right? The effort still has to be put into it, but that stuff can be done extremely effectively. Some of those types of events and content are my most prominent and favorite memories from back in my WoW days. The pre-patch events for expansions, things like that, they're fun. They bring the community together, and they're a great opportunity to be creative and take some risks without much long-term harm, because in a few weeks they're gone anyway. So I'm going to stop rambling. Point is, I think limited time events and content can be extremely beneficial and worthwhile for a game to do. Division has never really properly done one before in its many years on the market, so whether it's this Heartland cross promotion in Div 2 or one of these new spin-offs that do it first, I think there's a big opportunity to lean into a whole new type of experience for the Division community, and I'm really excited to see what they come up with. Thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to subscribe with notifications on so you can be updated every time I upload. Let me know your thoughts about this discussion on limited time events and content. Do you, like myself, see some of the value that could be had in producing events like this and in the future, or maybe you think it's a waste of time? And what do you think we'll ultimately end up seeing from this Heartland cross promotion that Pally says is going to happen in one form or another? Whatever your guys' thoughts are on those or anything else within this subject, I would love to hear them, so please do leave them down below. We are so close to 20K subscribers, everybody. It's absolutely insane. I have a really fun stream planned to celebrate once we hit it with giveaways and some fun little events. So if you're not yet subscribed, what are you doing? There's only a few spots left to be able to say that you are one of the first 20K here in the community. Jokes aside, I truly appreciate the support, everyone. It means so much to me, and that is going to do it for me today, y'all. Once again, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and until the next one, guys, RogueGold out.